So now what we want to do is take a look at a different library called Seaborn that has a few maybe easier to use plots for us. So to begin, we'll look at the same idea. We've got columns. There's some of them are numbers, some of them are words, right? Categories. So here, the species. We saw how we could draw a bar plot with Seaborn. I can set there's a count plot that will make that much easier. So if I say penguins species, now I get a quick kind of plot, and they're colored by species, and this is just a much easier way to draw a bar plot for a category. Okay, it counts, it goes into the category, does the value counts, and then draws a bar with each. Okay, and so any of our categorical features we could do this with. We could, see if if there were similar numbers of male and female penguins in our data. Looks like it. All right, so there's the count plot, helper for any of these categories. Another thing we can do is draw box plots. So if I wanted to draw a box plot of just one column, I can do that. But I can also draw distributions based on categories, and that's the nice kind of feature of the Seaborn box plot, is that it'll draw, for example, by species, the different bill lengths. So let's take a look at that, sns.boxplot, and we'll say penguins, species, and that's on our X, and then we'll say penguins, let's look at the bill depth. And now we see the distribution of bill depth across each of the species. And it seems like Gen2 has much smaller bill depth than the chinstrap and Adelie. And if we wanted to even get a finer grain kind of understanding of this, maybe these, this also had both male and female penguins in them, right? Each of these. So we can also split these into an additional category with the hue argument. So if I ask this to split things based on hue equal penguins sex, now it broke each of those into a male and female group here. So this will be something that we'll see in just about every Seaborn plot, is that you can add a category to split the plot on. All right. So we could have also done that in count plot, I believe. Could say hue is penguins species and get counts for male, Gen2, chinstrap and Adelie, and so on. Okay, but these, I do think that a lot of times the Seaborn plots are easier to kind of get what you want from them. One nice last plot is a pair plot for, we saw that the way to compare two quantitative features was with a scatter plot. Seaborn has this plot called a pair plot, and if we ask it to look at penguins, here we go. And what it draws is every quantitative feature against each other. Okay, so you see bill depth against body mass, bill length against body mass. You see it pairs all of our quantitative features with one another, and it still accepts a hue argument. So if we want to look at this based on species, now we get a nice kind of colored big picture, and we do learn some things, right? There are some, there's definitely some difference between the Gen2 and the other, the Adelie and the chinstrap, in terms of how body mass. I don't know these penguins, but maybe that's a bigger penguin. Bigger flipper length. Lower bill depth. All right, so a couple nice handy plots that Seaborn has And they also have some variations on this theme. So if instead of a box plot, a very similar plot is a violin plot. It just shows also the distribution of those values here. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to check out the documentation to see a couple more, but this is really these are the big ones that I think are important to get you going with Seaborn. Okay, count plot, box plot, and violin plot, and a pair plot.